Hello and welcome back to Matchgirls Strike podcast episode 2. Episode 2, we're going to learn about Sarah Chapman by her great-granddaughter Sam Johnson. So what we know about this whole story is that back in 2016, Sam was doing a family history research when she found a post on a family history forum which was dated 2003. She was shocked to see that all of the information has matched exactly just like her own family tree. She was very shocked to find out that her great-grandmother, Sarah Chapman, was part of the famous Matchgirls strike back in 1888. She was also shocked to know how come this wasn't passed through the family. How she managed to find out more about her great-grandmother was that she managed to trace down Anna Robinson and find that her MA dissertation was entitled Neither Hidden Nor Condensed to Overlooking Sarah Chapman. Dr. Anna Robinson is now a friend of Sam Johnson and also a fellow trustee of the Matchgirls Memorial. What do we know about Sarah Chapman? She was born on 31st of October in 1862 to father named Samuel Chapman and mother named Sarah Ann Mackenzie. What we also know about her father's work is that he was a brewer servant at the time of her birth, but we also do know that he worked at the docks in his time. The fifth of 7 children, Sarah's early life was spent at number 26 Alfred Terrace in Mile End. But once she turned 9, the family have moved to 2 Swan Court now, which is the back of the American Snooker Hall on Mile End Road, where they will stay for 17 years. For a working class to stay in one place for a very, very long time was very uncommon. However, it's because all of her siblings and Sarah was able to read and write, they received some form of education as they were listed as scholars. By the time Sarah turned 19, her and her mother and her sister were working as a matchmaking mechanist, so by 1888 she was an established member of the workforce at the Bryant and May factory. At the time of the strike, Sarah was working in the patient area of the business as a booker, which meant that she was on really good wages and she was placed in a really good position, but not like the other workers. But we also know that her wages just before the strike certainly suggest she would paid more than most. This might have been because she works as a brooker or just because she was managed to avoid any fines or trouble. What we also know about Sarah is that she was one of the dominant forces during and also after the Matchgirls strike. One day after the strike has begun, she was one of the delegation of the 3 who had met with Anna Besant after the Matchgirls march to Bouvier Street. She was also a contender for who wrote the Dear Lady letter to Anna Besant. And also, she was in the strike committee. What it meant for her to be in a strike committee is that she was highly likely to be in the delegation of the 12 people who went with Anna Besant to the House of Commons to meet with Prime Minister Robert Cunningham Graham and also Charles Corbinier. As a member of the strike committee, she was highly likely to have met with the London Trades Council and the Bryant and May directors in the boardroom of the factory to discuss these terms. She was also elected to the new union committee. Of only 77 delegates, Sarah was the first to represent her new union at the International TUC in London when she attended with a woman named Anna Besant in November 1888. As only one of 10 women in an almost 500 strong attendance, Sarah attended the TUC in Liverpool in 1890. She seconded a motion related to the Truck Act and rubbed shoulders with the likes of Keir Hardie and Ventillate. What we know about Sarah after the strike, on the night of the 1891 census, Sarah was still a booker at the factory, but she was only living with her mom in Blackthorn Street in Bromley by Bow. Also, at the end of the same year, December, Sarah had married Charles Henry Dearman, a cabinet maker, and she had decreased working at Bryant and May. Sarah and Charles welcomed their first child, Sarah Elsie, in 1862.